The Rajapaksa regime as well as the new alliance appear equally confident of their position in the election race. But let me give it to you in numbers. This year, the number of eligible voters in Sri Lanka has risen to 14 million, out of which some 10 million are majority Sinhalese. These are the votes that Fonseca is likely to split to a certain degree. As far as the Tamil electorate and the Muslim electorate is concerned, however, they do not number enough to sway the outcome of the election on their own. But together, their collective vote could mean the difference between victory and defeat for the presidential candidates. Like the displaced North Muslims of Putlam, many of the war-displaced people of Sri Lanka may not be able to vote in the presidential elections of 2010. Cases in point are the some 250,000 people who were displaced in the north of Sri Lanka during the last stages of the war. According to government officials, most of them have now been resettled and the rest have been allowed to leave the camps they were confined in for months. The government also says that if they are in their original places of registration, they are eligible to vote. If not, they must re-register. However, independent election monitors say there is no proper voter education process to give information to refugees about where they can vote, how to register, and how they can apply for a temporary registration card. If these communities are able to exercise their vote, the minority factor may turn out to have a greater impact on the presidential elections than expected. During the last presidential election of 2005, a large percentage of Tamils were prohibited from voting by the LTTE, but today the dynamics have changed altogether. The collective votes of the Tamils and Muslims could prove a force to be reckoned with, a fact acknowledged by presidential candidates Mahinda Rajapaksa and Sarath Fonseca, both of whom have paid special attention to minority issues in their campaigns. Where minority parties are concerned, there has been extensive deliberation on who they will support, especially from the TNA. However, after much discussion, their decision was announced at a press conference recently.
The majority of the members took the view that if we cannot agree to granting a mandate for an extended term to President Mahinda Rajapaksa, then we have to inevitably and necessarily support the joint opposition candidate who is the best person to ensure that President Mahinda Rajapaksa does not receive a further term. And therefore, based upon that reasoning, our parliamentary group has unanimously taken the view that we will support General Sarath Fonseca at the forthcoming presidential election.
The TNA expressed their dissatisfaction with the Rajapaksa government's stand and progress on issues important to the Tamil community and outlined what they would expect from Fonseca's government should he win the election.
That we have discussed with President Mahinda Rajapaksa the question of a political solution to the national question. And we have been most disappointed with his answers. As far as General Sarath Fonseca goes, we have imposed no conditions on him. But we raised various issues with him. Issues concerning the plight of our people, particularly the people in the war-affected areas, in the northern and eastern parts of the country. The need to resettle these people, the need to rehabilitate these people.
Fonseca's controversial entry into politics has succeeded in splitting the Sinhalese votes to some extent because of the importance of his role in the army's victory over the LTTE. It is the minority vote, numbering some 3.5 million, which could tip the scale and be the deciding factor in the elections. The Muslim vote may also bend in Fonseca's favour, given that their grievances have not been adequately addressed in the past 4 years of the Rajapaksa regime.
If you look at the contrast, the forces that are supporting President Rajapaksa and who have the biggest influence with President Rajapaksa, like the JHU and the Vimal Veeravansa's party, they are the ones who really influenced the president very much, more than the SLFPS. So they are not very friendly towards the minorities or the Muslims. So one must be able to decide. Now, for instance, we have land problems in Pottuவில் and in the eastern province. So now no attempt has been done to solve those problems. So I think Muslims must decide on the basis of the record of the candidates as well as their policies and the forces that are supporting the candidates. Changing the constitution is absolutely essential for the whole Sri Lankan nation, Sinhalese, Tamils and Muslims. The executive presidency, as I said, must be abolished. We must have a parliamentary system of government. We must have a different electoral system and the constitution must ensure the rights of all the people.
Their representative parties having taken a side, on the 26th of January 2010, Tamils and Muslims across Sri Lanka will have to decide for themselves who they want to lead the country.